Okay. How was that exercise? Any questions about that exercise, or did you? Yeah. Said he found the walking to be easier to see where he was really getting off. It varies from individual to individual, but for some people who need more meditation, sitting meditation isn't the way for everybody by any means. And I'm just giving you examples of these different techniques. And I mean, walking meditation is exquisite to work with. I mean, just as a technique, you can keep doing it and go deeper and deeper with it. Questions? She's describing that she has a technique that's called mantra, which we're going to be working with this afternoon. And she says it's hard to do walking with the mantra. You don't do the mantra when you're doing the walking meditation. Use one method at a time. Now, the habit of doing mantra is such that it's hard to get out of it. So you might say, well, mantra is my method, and I don't want to do the walking meditation. But if you're going to do the walk, each practice you do it. Don't mix it with other practices, do it. Then you can mix all the practices together, but keep each one pure when you're doing it. Okay? Like I love my guru and I like having pictures around, but when I go to sit in Theravadan Buddhist monasteries, I don't take pictures of my guru because that's just another thought. He's just another thought from that point of view. So the mantra is just like I was doing this meditation, and this is a Buddhist meditation, and I have been trained in Hinduism also. And in Hinduism, you work a lot with Shakti or energy, and you bring it up through the chakras or centers of the body. And I used to do a lot of pranayama or breath control, where you hold your breath for long periods of time and do various kinds of fast breathing and things like that to move the energy up your spine. So I was doing this rising and breathing in and out of my nose, actually, and I started to get this incredible heat and force in the middle of my forehead, which every Hindu loves. I'm having this heat and this pain in here, and I expect him to say, "Oh, great! I'm honored. The practice is really working." And he said, "That's irrelevant. Go out into the garden and hold out your arm and run it down your arm and out to the because it's of no use to you now." And I hear that. I mean, I hear you use whatever method you're using at the time. You don't mix them together at one time. You do, like, I may be doing walking meditation now, and then later I'll be doing mantra. And then another time I'll be doing another kind of meditation, and then I'll be doing a devotional practice. All right? But I don't do them all at once. I just do them all in one lifetime. Okay, well, let's not belabor this if we don't have to. Yeah. Yeah, you watch and you'll start to see how you're doing lift, move, place, and then pretty soon you're doing lift, move, place. You're saying it and you're attending, but you're also thinking. If you're also thinking, you're not doing lift, move, place. You're not doing it with enough concentration. Bring it back. Concentrate again. Start freshly. Focus more. The sticky thoughts you don't get rid of by thinking about them. You get rid of by saying, this time, this 20 minutes, I am watching my feet. I'm not working with the sticky thoughts. The minute you start, that's all the sticky thoughts are dying to have you do, work with them. Because that gives them reality. That makes them solid, all right? They're just old sticky thoughts. Even the concept is sticky. Be careful. Okay, now in this smorgasbord of practices today. Um, you were given a booklet when you came in, and the booklet involves practices, and also you were given some pictures, I think, are in the booklet. Does everybody have that? Okay. I'd like you to take out the picture of the woman. This woman, and just sort of hang out with her a little bit. This woman is named Ananda Mai Ma. And this picture was taken many years ago. She left her body at an old age in 1983. But she was very young here. And just as I said before, the practices you do are designed to loosen the hold of your somebodyness, or of the plane at which this stuff sticks so solidly, so your awareness can start to expand and include other ways of knowing the universe and knowing yourself and acting from. And I'm trying at this point now to share with you a practice of using something that reminds you. What you want after is to surround yourself with reminders to remind you of the other planes of reality on which you exist. So you're constantly freeing yourself from getting caught by remembering. I mean, in many religions, they just say, remember God, which is one way of saying that. It's like, remember the one. Or you could remember the many and just feel yourself back from it. It's what's known as getting perspective and remembering to have perspective. And the way you do that is one of the ways to do it is to have around you pictures or quotes that remind you of that. I mean, if you have a picture of Uncle Freddie on a fishing trip, that reminds you of a vacation and a fishing trip. If you have a picture of somebody who's on another plane of consciousness, it reminds you of the other plane of consciousness in the same way as it reminds you of the fishing trip. So I'm going to introduce you to Ananda Mai Ma through two quotes from her. And these quotes are both things she has said about different planes of consciousness, or from different planes of consciousness, actually, because what you experience when you meet a free being, as she is you meet beings who are able to move in and out of these many planes of consciousness. Now, you understand all this thus far? Is this okay? Now, let's take, for example, and I use this in my lectures the past few days too. Take, for example, the situation of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa is, she's a Catholic nun who roams the streets of Calcutta, and when she finds a leper near death whose leprosy is secreting, and the person may be lying in their own feces or urine or vomit or whatever, she picks that person up and ministers to them until they either die or regain some health to deal with their situation. Now you take that act, just look at that act, and when you think about that act, one of the things that you might be inclined to say is, how courageous of her. What a strong woman. What a saint. All of which is roughly saying, I'm glad it's not me doing it, because although I'd like to be somebody who'd like to do it, it's pretty thick stuff to do. And I don't know that I really want to do it. Now, so from courage, strength, saintliness. Now, if you said to to Mother Teresa, what are you doing? What did you do? Just do. She picks up this leper. She said, I am ministering to my beloved Christ in all his distressing disguises. Now, you don't have to believe in Christ or Christianity just to hear this example. This isn't a sell. You can either interpret what she says is that she's a good Christian and that's what she's supposed to say, and she's learned the dogma well, or allow the possibility that that's the reality she lives in, and that what she is actually seeing is Christ in distressing disguise. And Christ is her beloved, and so she's actually taking care of her beloved at that moment. Now, if any of you have children or people you love, and that child or that person you love is sick, the idea that you're taking care of them gives you much joy, that you can minister to them and take care of them because you love them so much. And if I were to come up to you when you're taking care of your beloved, and I say to you, how courageous, how strong you must be, what a saint you are, it would all seem irrelevant because that isn't who you are at all. From her point of view, she is hanging out with her lover. And if you were hanging out with your lover in bed and somebody came in and said, how courageous of you, you would think, how bizarre, what an inappropriate response. So you've got to allow the reasonableness that other people live on different planes of reality. And we don't have to decide Mother Teresa's a kook or she's a religious fanatic. She just lives in a reality that's different than the one that you might be living in. Now, I'm going to read you two of the realities of Anandamayi Ma. The first one is very similar to the Mother Teresa one. And I got to say one more thing about these. In opening to the planes of consciousness, going up through astral, causal, blah, blah, and there's infinite, and the whole term planes is a metaphor. There are really no planes. It's just stuff changing all the time. But you get up close to the place where everything merges back into the one, and there's only one. And you get overwhelmed with the oneness of all things. The last moment before you go into that one, where you disappear as a separate entity, you are totally in love and consumed with your relationship to the one, because it's everywhere you look. And it's the ultimate of what's called devotional yoga, or bhakti yoga in Hinduism. B-H-A-K-T-I, bhakti yoga. Devotional yoga is where you are in a relationship with your lover or beloved, such that everything in your life is related to that. So listen to Anandamayi Ma's quote about that. This body, she said, has lived with father, mother, husband, and all. This body has served the husband, so you may call it a wife. It has prepared dishes for all, so you may call it a cook. It has done all sorts of scrubbing and menial work, so you may call it a servant. But if you look at the thing from another standpoint, you will realize that this body has served none but God. For when I served my father, mother, husband, and others, I simply considered them as different manifestations of the Almighty and served them as such. When I sat down to prepare food, I did so as if it were a ritual. For the food cooked was, after all, meant for God. Whatever I did in a spirit of divine service. Hence, I was not quite worldly, though always engaged in household affairs. I had but one ideal, to serve all as God, to do everything for the sake of God. Now, there's a woman who lived a life that from the outside looked one way, from the inside it was a whole different process. And if you go into the Judeo-Christian traditions, Islam, and then out into Zoroastrian and Confucian, they all remind you that remembering is a part of the process. Remembering, constantly remembering. And she's describing what her life's like. Now, here's the other quote. This quote is describing, once she's back in words, what it's like to not be separate, and an interesting take on that. At this point, Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi that I'm sure many of you have seen, she said, he asked her, Anandamayi Ma, who are you? Tell me something about yourself. She said, Father, there is little to tell. My consciousness has never associated itself with this temporary body. Before I came on this earth, Father, I was the same. I grew into womanhood, but still, I was the same. When the family in which I had been born made arrangements to have this body married, I was the same. And Father, in front of you now, I am the same. Even afterwards, though the dance of creation changes around me in the hall of eternity, I shall be the same. That quality of the sameness, that pure awareness that has nothing to do with coming or going or death or birth, it's just awareness. And it's the root nature of that flashlight that's looking out. And so you can shine the light on the breath or the feet in order to free you from the other thoughts. Then ultimately you turn the light somehow or other back in on itself, and then you come into the awareness that has no change. And out of that, when you start to rest in that, you begin to understand the line, one does nothing, and nothing is left undone. It's that same thing again. One does nothing, and nothing is left undone. Let's take a few questions, and then questions about anything. He's asking about the concept of reincarnation. Just take the fact that you went to sleep last night, and sometime during that sleep you disappeared from yourself. You went into a deep sleep. And then you woke up, and then you reconstituted yourself, and there you are again. You see how that happens each day? That's the same thing. It's just a different time frame on it. It's that as you die, like when you went to sleep, the fact that you have this body disappeared from relevancy, didn't it? And then you came back in and you were back in this body again. Now, in reincarnational theory, the when you go through the death process, your awareness, which went into deep sleep instead of being with your body when you went to sleep last night, your awareness extricates itself from the body, and the awareness is propelled forward. Now, what happens to the awareness then? What it's aware of, because of the propulsion of who you were yesterday, you are still that person today. It's called your karma that reasserted itself today. So you woke up and you weren't a friend of yours, you were you again, right? That's the inertial part of who you were yesterday affecting who you are today. That's the way reincarnation works. Reincarnation keeps taking the inertia from what's uncooked and propelling you forward. It's like a psychic DNA code. It forces the manifestation so that this life you're living now is a product of previous karmic forces acting upon you, plus what you're creating now and what's acting upon you now, which is more stuff. And the whole process of awakening and getting enlightened or getting free is that you extricate your awareness from identification with your desire systems or intentions or thoughts, all of it, to the point where you are no longer creating new karma. Because if you are doing nothing and nothing is being left undone, it's the doing of something that creates the effect of it. So you're just running off old karma. So they say an awakened person's just running off old karma. They're not creating new stuff all the time. They're not getting caught in their anger or their passions. They're having them, but they're not getting lost in them. When you are fully free of getting caught at all, at the moment of death, so there's no clinging to life, no clinging to death, no desire systems in any direction. The moment you die, you aren't. It all is. There's the one again. And at that place, you realize that you'd been there all the time and that all of this was a dream. So that reincarnation is basically a hype. But it's no more of a hype than this is. So if this is real, that's real. All right? You're welcome. Sir. No. What's that? Once you are liberated, is death necessary or can you stay in this physical realm forever? I would say once you are free, you can do any damn thing you please. Why you would want to stay in this is beyond me, but you are more than welcome to do so if it would make you happy. As Christ said, had ye but faith, you could move mountains. But once you have that faith, you'd know why you put it there in the first place, and you wouldn't be screwing around with it. So do as you wish, but just realize. Yes, sir. Excuse me, I can't hear you. My visions about what we're going into, 21st century. I'll tell you, I have precious few of those. I really, because I don't really care. I mean, I don't care because the way I figured it was that if the shit was going to hit the fan and it was going to get horrible and we were all going to go under and that was going to be the end of this dance, the best thing for me to do to prepare for it is to quiet my mind, open my heart, and deal with the suffering in front of me. If, on the other hand, it's all going to turn absolutely magnificent into the new age and we're all going to have a moment of bliss and consciousness, the best way I can prepare for it is quiet my mind, open my heart, and deal with the suffering. So what the hell difference it makes? So I stopped having those visions. Okay? Yep. Yeah. Well, she grew up as a white middle class woman in Philadelphia. So The question is, what is the impact of growing up in a secure middle-class environment, and as opposed to having some real suffering to deal with as an abrasive force to help you in your way? Is that the question? Well, I'll tell you, the essence of the suffering we're really dealing with is the suffering of the caughtness of the mind and the closeness of the heart. And I'm not sure that the external sufferings of not enough to eat and all aren't, in an interesting way, distractions. Because, like my guru said, for the hungry, God comes in the form of food. And I can understand that. So that for somebody hungry, you don't give them a Dharma talk, you give them food. Once they have the food and they're comfortable, then they see, as you're seeing in the middle class, that having the food isn't freedom. Having the food's just having the food. Then you have to ask the next question. Why aren't I happy now? Why aren't I free? Why aren't I? Now I've got enough base camp. I've got the comfort behind me. See, you and I are, like, from India's point of view, all of us in this room are kings and queens. We've all got this incredible incarnation. I mean, it's extraordinary how fortunate we are. But in their concept of Dharma, the having an incarnation as a king or queen is a precious human birth, because it frees you from certain preoccupations to allow you to do deeper inner work. The fact that you and I can spend this day together in this place, on this society, in this moment, this is one of the products of that kind of affluence. Now, does that make this less? Does it make it not? I mean, this is a group of people that come together genuinely seeking to move onward in their inner work. And it seems to me that we should appreciate the culture we're in as a blessing. Now, the question is, do you need suffering to awaken, or do you need despair to awaken? And the answer is, suffering and despair are part of everybody's life. And for somebody like, I travel in many different circles. I mean, I may be in Guatemala with a woman whose baby is dying of malnutrition, and then a few days later I'm in Hollywood, in Westwood, with people who are taking me by their private jet out for lunch or something like that. And when I quiet down and get over my fascination with different lifestyles, and I'm just with the people, to my surprise, I find that Mayan Indian woman is more at peace and deeper in her being than the person in Hollywood that I'm hanging out with, who's got all of the stuff, but has got tremendous pain because of how caught she and he are in that stuff. So I would say that they are experiencing despair that is deeper than that Mayan woman is. She's experiencing tremendous suffering because her baby is suffering, and that is a certain kind of suffering on a certain plane. And what you do then is you get food for the baby, if you can do that, because that's the business at hand. But the deeper suffering of being caught, either she's beyond it or she hasn't started it. And we don't know that with the Mayan woman, because we really haven't got her free of the pain of her child's starvation and know what she's going to do next. Once she gets rid of the child's starvation, she may want a Mercedes. I don't know. I mean, you think I'm kidding, but we went into 3 villages in Guatemala. We have 2 projects in the Seva Foundation. One of them was we work with Mayan Indian refugees in Mexico who fled from the violence in Guatemala. So there was electricity coming into these 3 camps after tremendous political efforts and bribes and everything on our part to get it to happen. These camps were right in the middle of sugarcane fields, and it was very heavy duty and a darkish place, and psychologically as well. So the electricity was in 2 camps, and well, the first camp it didn't have it, the second it just got it, and the third it had it for a while. So we came to the first camp, and they didn't have electricity, and they were all sitting around outside talking with one another, and there was a kind of a sadness and a loneliness in the place. And then I went to the next place, and they had new electricity, and the children were all dancing as it got dark around the lights, and they had toys, and they all seemed very upbeat, and there was a radio playing and music playing as a woman was cooking and stuff like that. And wow, a whole new scene. We went to the third camp, which we were at the time putting lots of money into, setting up concrete floors and thises and that's. And nobody met us. I mean, being a white colonialist, coming out to the world and nobody meets you is like a great affront, Nobody met us. And so we got out of the car and we went in, and they were all in one room where somebody had won a raffle, apparently, in the sugarcane fields, and they had a television set. And they were all looking at the television set at an ad for skin softening cream with such fascination that when we walked in, they could just barely use the energy to turn their head to acknowledge we existed. And then they were back on their hand cream, which none of them could afford and they'd never seen before, and soon they would all want. So you don't know. You don't know what a person's going to do after they get fed. And now you don't know what you're going to do having been fed and housed and secure. Now you can ask those questions or you can't. And it turns out that your evolutionary level of an individual has very little to do with your economic stability or how much you're suffering in the real world. That some people that are suffering in the real world are very rich because they have a crease in their cheek that the surgeon can't get out. And some are suffering terribly because their child is dying of malnutrition. And you'd be in very thin ice to decide what suffering is suffering and set up a quantitative scale for suffering. It's a hard one to do. So let me just see where we are here. Okay, so I want to do one song before we break. Yes? How you do nothing while getting food for the starving baby. The Bhagavad Gita suggests, which is a Hindu text, it says, be not attached to being the actor in an action. It also says, be not attached to the fruits of the action, which is another one. Now, I am sitting up here talking to you. That's the phenomenon you see and you hear. The question is, where is my consciousness in relation to that at this moment? Is my awareness identified with me talking to you, in which case I am acting? Or is my awareness sitting back in here, just appreciating the whole existential situation, including the talking and the listening and your smile and all of that? In other words, where am I in relation to the act itself? And the other one, which is the fruits of the action, I'm saying this to you. How attached am I to what you hear? What you hear is what you hear. What you hear is what you've got to do with what you hear. That's your problem. That's your karma. That's not my karma. Mine is that I say it as purely as I can say it, and the purity of my ability to say it is based on my freedom from getting lost into saying it, so that I can stay quiet, because I may be saying it and get so busy saying it that I miss some other thing. So I have to stay empty so I can hear the truth from moment to moment. because the statement is, the truth waits for eyes unclouded by longing, is a statement from the Tao. So if I'm somebody that wants you to hear it or wants to say it well, I can't hear any longer what the truth of the moment is, which is all of you and your understanding and your not, and me and the lunchtime and the things I want to do and all of that in response, and your smile and your nodding and all of that at once. So it's a cultivating of the mind space. And the thing most people are afraid of is that if they draw their awareness back from an identification with their actions, they won't act. They won't act enough or hard enough. They feel that they have to be either in a frenzy of frustration or pain or anger or feeling of the injustice of the world or something for their acts to be good enough or appropriate enough. And I would say that that supposition is open to question. If you truly are interested in relieving suffering and not just getting off on your own righteousness, I mean, that's a hard statement to make. But if you are truly interested in relieving suffering, you realize that to the extent that you are very identified with getting rid of it, you end up, because of the attachment to your desire, in some way doing violence to what you're trying to do. For example, trying to get rid of suffering, you can do it in a way that polarizes and disempowers everybody around you. We've done it in our organization. So eager to take away somebody's pain that you end up doing one thing for them that's good, but in the process, you're like Typhoid Mary. You've done all this other stuff, which is terrible, because you're so busy being good and righteous and getting it done. And, like, I want you to be a happy child, that kind of thing, Are you happy, damn it? Because I really want you to be a happy child. And you begin to see that the method is as much as the stuff itself, and that you start to have faith in this kind of deeper wisdom-motivated, appropriate action that comes out of quietness rather than out of agitation. I mean, as I've said many times, I've gone to many peace rallies, and I'm always impressed at how angry everybody is. And the realization that you can't be, that they may be talking peace and get other people to put stickers on their cars, but what they are spreading in that process is not what they're trying to bring about. And you've got to demand more of yourself. You've got to realize that you are your message. It's not just what you say, it's what you are. And so if you're going to bring about some kind of reflective equanimity in the world, you damn well better be reflective and equanimous. If you're going to help people get free of the panic that comes from time, you better be free of time yourself. This all has to describe where you sit inside yourself in relation to the acts you perform. Okay. By the way, about the Guatemalans, say we do a lot of work down in Guatemala, and back there are Guatemalan things that we've got that have been manufactured by the villagers as a way of trying to get their livelihood back together. So if you want to visit with a very wise being who will be marketing those back there, do so. Let's now just see where we are in time. Okay. Let me announce something first, and then we're going to do a little singing. I'm trying to do so many things today. It's really irritating to have one day with you. If you notice, and one of the girls asked about mantra. If you notice, I hold some beads. And these beads are, in the Eastern traditions, they're called a mala, M-A-L-A, mala. West, they're called rosary beads. In Greece, they're called worry beads. What they are a technique for remembering or centering. You could look at it that way. Like if I'm standing at the checkout counter at a supermarket, see if you can empathize with this moment. It's late in the day, I'm tired. I just need a few things. I've got them, and I'm at the checkout counter. There's a line. The woman at the head of the line has got a lot of groceries. She gets all done. I've been watching one thing being checked off after another. Then they're all done, and then the woman rings up the amount, and at that point, this person who has bought all the groceries starts to rummage through the pocketbook for the checkbook to write the check, to then show the identification, to write in the checkbook the whole thing too, not only the check. And you're climbing the walls, like, is she never going to get done? Now, maybe you've never had this experience. I've had this experience, right? And I find it's very interesting when I'm holding my beads because I get so furious. I mean, I don't get so furious, but I get really frustrated, especially if the inquirer isn't by the rack, you know. And I get so frustrated, and then I feel the bead in my hand. And and the bead reminds me that I just got caught again. It shows me that I got caught. Either the bead uses the word of the nameless. It's what the bead is fingers pointing at the formless. So it could be a name of God, which has no names. I mean, in Islam, it's 99 names, and there's many, many names, and none of them ever name it because they're all names, and the thing is beyond names. So you're always like G-D or something like that. You can't name it. So Ram is one of the names I use. Ram, Shri Ram, Ram. And so I'll feel this, and I'll suddenly hear the name Ram. And Ram represents to me the vastness of the one. And suddenly the whole shopping line and my life and all of it just is folded back in, like folding in an egg into a cake batter or something. It just dissolves into the oneness of it all. And then I'm there, and where else am I? Where else would I ever want to be than in that line at that moment with that woman slowing me down so I can appreciate the bizarre absurdity of the predicament that I got caught in time and anticipating something in the future that's making me miss this moment. And this moment has all these beautiful beings and this line and all of the richness of this moment. And I just blew it because I was so busy getting home. And I'm so happy to have awakened, and that woman became a teaching for me, and the beads work to do that. Now, is that too complicated an example, or do you understand how this all works? Okay. So, I really have gotten to like using beads a lot. And I realize that it's a really useful device. And you can, if somebody in the that thinks when you come to a lecture by Ram Dass, it's going to a computer software course. Ram Dass. When they ask you, what are those things you're holding? If you become a religious fanatic, watch out. You just say they're a centering device. They're a device for reducing stress. I mean, we got all these now nice new zeitgeisty ways of talking about all this stuff that's okay in the society. It's a centering device. It's a device to bring me back to my center. That's a nice one. That's neutral. It doesn't have a religious overtone. Okay, so I found this so much use that I really wanted to share it with other people. And the beads that I've most frequently used are beads made of tulsi wood, which are it's a branch of a tree, of a shrub, and they cut it and they make the bead out of it, and they smooth the edges and all that, and it's got some of the branch marks usually on it and so on. And So what I've done is about 5 years ago, I started doing this. I'd go to this place, which is a very sacred place in India, Vrindavan, Varanasi, where, no, I'm sorry, Vrindavan, where Krishna danced with the gopis. It's a real place of the love and devotion. And I found a bead maker, and I brought back 3,000 sets of these beads, which we have here. Okay. Now, in addition to the mala, however, um, um, when my guru died in 1973, I mean, he was it was like being around a free one that made it. And it was fun. And one of the things that happened was I got hold of one of the blankets he had had. And for spiritual materialism, it's just fun to have that kind of stuff. It's like having the hair out of the nose of the Buddha or something like that, you know. So what I've been doing since for the last 20 years is taking that blanket apart one thread at a time. And so every one of these has a thread of that blanket tied to it. So, because what I'm transmitting to you or giving you, as long as these last for another few years, is just this kind of it's like a blessing, sort of, in a way. So so my friends, Marlene and Joanne and their friends, get together and they all chant all evening and they tie these threads on to the malas. So there's a mala here for every one of you, and I will give it to you in a kind of a ritualistic way. The thing about rituals is that they can turn dead very fast, but you can take a ritual and invest it with life and then do it and then be done with it. And so when I offer it to you, I go into a space of my own consciousness where when I look at you, what I really see most of the time is who you, I don't know how to say it. I'd say sometimes I see old monks and nuns. Sometimes I see who you are becoming. I'm actually giving this towards the deeper, true you behind the form that's standing in front of me. So during the process, I don't talk to you, and we have to move quite fast when we do it because there's 200 of us. What we will do is we're going to take a break after we do one song, yes, at 12:30 till 2 is the lunch break, 12:30 to 2. But at 1:30, I will be here starting to hand out the beads, and I will hand them out. So if you don't get back till 2, don't worry, because we'll probably do the beads through till about 2:15 or 2:20. But if you want to start at 1:30, I'll be here to do it. And we'll just line up somewhere, just come by and pick up a set of beads and go on. It'll happen pretty fast, but that's the invitation. And if you don't want them, if you feel that it's a subtle form of anything, feel free not to take them. Any questions about that? And then we're going to use them, and I will do a mantra together, and I'll show you how to hold them and use them so you can look like a professional. Yeah. Okay. The other wing of the bird of quieting the mind is, of course, opening the heart. And singing is a way to do that. And I think that I'm going to reverse things around a little bit. There's a song that I usually use evenings at the end of a lecture, but I think we're going to use it now here just to end our lunch break in a juicy way. You all ready to sing? Okay, there's enough of us so we can do this. We're going to do the jubilate, and which many of you know, and then it's got 3 words to it. Jubilate, which means jubilation, which means jubilation. Deo, which could mean God, it could mean your pussycat, it's whatever connects you to love. And Alleluia is celebration. Wow, yeah, hallelujah. Okay. So, It's Jubilate Deo Alleluia. We're going to do it as a 6-part round. Don't get nervous. And because many of you have done it, but I'll sing it once so you can hear it. Jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo, Alleluia, Alleluia. Jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo, Alleluia, Alleluia. Good. Do it again now. Jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo, Alleluia, Alleluia. Great, you've got the idea. Now let's make it crisp so it's not like a funeral dirge. Let's a little more juice and sharpness and pep to it. But stay together. Jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo, Alleluia, Alleluia. It's getting better. It's got a little more crispness yet before I can take you on the road. Ready? So just a little sharper and a little more crisp. Once more. Great. You're really good. Okay, we'll divide right down here, and we'll try it with 2 first to see if it works. Jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo, Alleluia, Alleluia, jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo. Quick learners. Okay, quick study. All right, let's start. I think we can do it. All the floor people. You're sort of 1. You're all 2. And you're all 3. And then you folks are 4. You're 5. About there. And you're all 6. All you all there are all 6. Okay? Now, there's no confusion because you know who you are. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I must say, as I say every time, that if you don't do it right, it ruins it for everybody, okay? So let's make sure. I feel a little nervousness, so we'll do it once more all together to make sure you got it, because you're on your own once we start. Jubilate. God, this is going to be great. You hold the bead in your right hand, middle finger, and you draw the beads towards you one at a time. I'm just giving you the Hindu path. You can go, Tibetans can do it any way you want. And if you only have toes, you can go to hell, go to heaven on that too, or hell. So it's in your right hand, and it's on the middle finger, and you draw the beads, bead by bead, towards you with your thumb. And then when you get to the last bead before the bead that has the thread on it, which is called the guru bead, or it's the formless. So what you do is you come up to that bead. You don't go by it. You come right up to it. And you, in a way, you sort of pranam. You bow to the formless. It's form, formless. And then you turn around. You put your index finger now over the big guru bead, and then you just, with your thumb, you flip them over and start going back the other way. Again, bringing the beads towards you with your thumb. Okay? Just practice. You're always bringing the beads towards you, and you go up to the guru bead and you don't go by it. Those are the simple rules. Now you can figure out how to do that. Come up to the major bead, get up to the guru bead, the one with the red thread. Up so it's right in front of you. You don't go by it. It's right in front of you. Get that? Now turn the beads over so you're starting to go backwards. But remember, you're going forward with the bead. You're bringing them towards you all the time with your thumb. You come up with the bead, and then you turn around, and you're on the same bead again going the other way. And then you bring them towards you, all fresh. So you're always bringing the beads towards you, and you never go by the guru bead. That's all you need to know. No. They only cost about 47 cents a piece, so don't get carried away. In the front page of your booklet are mantras. And these are these are phrases that you can do one bead for each time you do the whole thing. You can also just say any name of something that reminds you of the beloved or brings you back into the one. Or you can do Om, 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 or Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy upon me, a miserable sinner. I mean, you can do anything that reminds you of these other planes of consciousness, whatever will work for you. Or Krishna, 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 or Om Namah Shivaya, or Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi, Swaha. We'll do the Shri Ram for just a few minutes, just to get into it a little bit. Shri Ram is, Shri means honorable, Ram means formless, or the one, or God, or whatever. Shri Ram, Jai is hail. Hail, hail, you're hailing, you're honoring, you're appreciating. You're appreciating the one behind the many, is what you're doing through this. And you're doing it with your heart, because the Ram symbol is a very devotional quality of appreciation. So you go into it slowly with your heart a little more. And again, starting anywhere, but just using one bead per mantra. So it sounds like this. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. And then on the Om in-breath, you silently say Om, which is the sound of all sounds when they come back into the formless. So it's Om, and then Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram on one breath, and then on the in-breath, Om. So it goes reasonably slowly, and you just even your breath in so you're with us. We stay together. And remember, it's Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Breath. Then let's start again. Okay. Now we're going to do this for about 20 minutes. And during this time, you can stand or sit or walk around. Just keep the mantra going. And if you're quiet enough, you can take it inward. You can start out by thinking it's saying, oh to the one and honorable and all that, and then let it slowly drift down into your throat where you're just sort of saying it, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. And then let it sink down deeper into just the feeling of the going around in the circle and the heart, the connection of the heart of you to the one, that just kind of it's gratitude, it's just love into the one. And see what else. You can do it on whatever pitch you want, but we'll stay with the same beat together. We'll keep the mantra together. Any questions? Okay. We'll do 20 minutes and just see how far in you can take it. Now, I just want to point out, this is exactly the same thing we were doing this morning. It's still concentration of mind. The more you just bring your awareness to the Shri Ram, Jai Ram, and let everything else dissolve, and I'll ring the bell when it's time to stop. Okay? Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri, wait, let the Ram drift on for a while, and wait till I start, until you're really into my rhythm, because I'll try to do a rhythm that's for everybody. Otherwise, the person that's got the shortest breath keeps starting it all the time. So if you need to take 2 breaths, go ahead, if that's a problem for you. Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Shri Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai 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 Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram 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 Jai Jai